The galaxy had known peace for 3,000 years. The Galactic Council maintained order among 400 species across 9,000 star systems. Wars were rare. Conflicts ended through diplomacy. Every civilization understood the rules of engagement, but nobody had prepared for what humanity would become when pushed beyond its breaking point. Earth had joined the galactic community only 50 years ago. Humans were considered young, primitive, and insignificant. Their technology lagged behind other species by centuries. Their military strength was laughable compared to ancient empires. Most aliens viewed them as harmless newcomers who would need thousands of years to matter in galactic affairs. They saw them as easy prey. The Empire controlled 47 star systems near Earth's sector. They were proud warriors with purple-scaled skin and 4 arms. Their history was written in blood. They had conquered dozens of species before the Galactic Council forced them to stop. But they never forgot their warrior traditions. They despised weakness. They hated the peace that had been forced upon them. And they saw humanity as the perfect target to remind the galaxy of their power. Admiral commanded the attack fleet. He was old and bitter. He remembered the glory days when his species took what they wanted. He believed the galaxy had grown soft. He wanted to prove that the strong still ruled. His plan was simple and brutal. He would attack a human colony world and broadcast the destruction across every channel in the galaxy. He would show everyone what happened to weak species who thought they deserved respect. New Singapore was a beautiful colony on the planet called Harmony. 10 million humans had built homes there over 20 years. They had farms and schools and hospitals. Children played in parks. Families shared meals together. It was a peaceful place filled with ordinary people living ordinary lives. They had no military installations. They had no advanced weapons. They were civilians in every sense of the word. The fleet arrived without warning. 50 warships dropped out of hyperspace above Harmony. Admiral activated a galaxy-wide broadcast before firing a single shot. He wanted everyone to watch. He wanted every species to see what they could do. His face appeared on billions of screens across thousands of worlds. He announced that humanity would learn its place in the galactic order through blood and fire. The attack lasted 6 hours. Plasma cannons burned cities to ash. Their troops landed and killed anyone they found. They recorded everything with horrifying detail. Mothers holding children, fathers trying to protect families, old people who could not run. They showed no mercy because they wanted no mercy shown. They wanted terror. They wanted the galaxy to remember this day forever. 10 million humans died while the galaxy watched. Every news network carried the broadcast. Every species saw the destruction. Many were horrified, but none intervened. The Galactic Council called emergency meetings but took no action. Ancient diplomatic protocols prevented interference in ongoing conflicts. By the time debates ended, New Singapore was gone. Only smoke and bodies remained on a world that had been full of life hours before. Admiral delivered his final message after the massacre ended. He declared that humanity was now a servant species of the Empire. He demanded Earth surrender all colonies and resources. He gave them 7 days to accept or face total extinction. He ended his broadcast with laughter. He believed he had won the greatest victory of his life. He did not understand what he had awakened. Earth received the broadcast in real time. Every human watched their brothers and sisters die. Every human saw the flames and heard the screams. Every human felt something ancient stir inside their hearts. Grief transformed into cold fury. Divisions that had existed for centuries disappeared in moments. Nations that had quarreled for generations united under a single purpose. Humanity stopped arguing about politics and borders and resources. They only thought about one thing now. The response came from Earth's World Council within hours. President addressed humanity and the galaxy. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with controlled rage. She did not cry or beg or threaten. She simply stated facts. They had killed 10 million innocent humans. They had broadcast murder as entertainment. They had demanded slavery. Earth refused all demands. Earth rejected all negotiations. Earth declared total war against the Empire. The galaxy laughed at Earth's declaration. Commentators across thousands of worlds called it suicide. They had thousands of warships. Their empire spanned 47 systems. Their technology was 3 centuries more advanced. Earth had barely explored its own solar system. Their largest warship was smaller than a shuttle. Every expert predicted human extinction within months. But the experts did not understand humanity. They saw humans as their statistics suggested: young, weak, technologically inferior. They did not know about human history. They did not know about Dresden and Hiroshima. They did not know about the trenches of Verdun or the beaches of Normandy. They did not understand that humans had spent their entire existence fighting impossible wars against impossible odds, and winning. Earth's military revealed secrets they had kept hidden since joining galactic society. Humanity had never shown their true capabilities because they never trusted the alien governments who smiled too much and promised too easily. Underground facilities across Earth contained weapons that should not exist. Scientists who had studied captured alien technology in secret for 50 years finally showed their work. Humanity had not been primitive. They had been patient. The first human fleet launched 30 days after the massacre. 100 ships emerged from hidden bases across the solar system. They were smaller than vessels, but they moved faster. Their weapons were stranger. Human engineers had combined alien technology with human creativity in ways nobody had imagined. The ships carried weapons that broke rules the galaxy thought were laws of physics. Admiral Wei commanded the human fleet. She was 60 years old with hair and cold eyes. She had lost her daughter on New Singapore. Her granddaughter had died in her daughter's arms while cameras recorded everything. Admiral did not want victory. She wanted erasure. She wanted them to feel what humanity felt. She wanted them to know fear before they knew death. The human fleet crossed into space and encountered their first enemy patrol. 12 warships faced 5 human destroyers. The expected easy kills. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, 12 ships were expanding clouds of debris. The human ships had not taken a single hit. Their weapons bypassed shields that should have been impenetrable. Their engines allowed movements that should have been impossible. News of the battle shocked the high command. They sent a larger fleet of 50 ships to crush the human invaders. The human fleet had grown to 20 vessels by then. The second battle lasted 11 minutes. 50 ships became 50 graves. Human casualties remained at 0. Admiral broadcast her own message to the after the victory. She said nothing. She only showed images of burning ships. She let the flames speak for her. The Empire mobilized its entire military. 8,000 warships gathered to defend their territory. They believed numbers would overwhelm human technology. They positioned their fleet around key systems and waited. They built defensive stations and laid minefields. They prepared for the kind of war they understood. Humanity brought a different kind of war entirely. Human ships did not fight battles. They delivered extinction. Their weapons were not designed to disable or capture. They were designed to ensure nothing remained. Colonies vanished in flashes of light that burned brighter than stars. Military installations became craters that would glow for centuries. Supply lines dissolved as every ship carrying resources became atomic vapor. The human fleet grew as Earth's production facilities worked without stopping. Men and women who had never considered military service volunteered by the millions. Scientists who had studied peace their whole lives now designed instruments of destruction. Every human had lost someone on New Singapore. Every human carried a list of names in their hearts. 10 million names that demanded 10 million answers. Admiral finally understood his mistake when human ships appeared above Prime, the capital world of his empire. He had expected a long war of attrition. He had expected negotiations once humanity realized the cost. He had expected them to be reasonable like every other species. But humans were not reasonable anymore. They had stopped being reasonable when 10 million of them died while the galaxy watched and did nothing. The fleet made its last stand above there. 3,000 warships against 200 human vessels. The battle lasted one day. When silence finally fell, not a single ship remained intact. Human losses totaled 17 vessels. Admiral escaped in a personal shuttle and tried to flee to Galactic Council space. Human ships intercepted him before he crossed the border. Admiral spoke to him directly before her weapons fired. She told him she was thinking about her granddaughter. The human fleet did not stop at military targets. They could not stop. The rage had grown too large. Cities burned the same way New Singapore had burned. Civilians ran the same way human civilians had run. The galaxy watched in horror as humanity became the very thing that had attacked them, but nobody intervened. Nobody dared. They had seen what happened when humans were provoked. The Empire ceased to exist within 6 months of the New Singapore massacre. 47 star systems became tomb worlds. A species that had terrorized the galaxy became a footnote in history. Their final population count was 0. Not a single survived. Humanity had not wanted prisoners. They had not wanted survivors. They had wanted what they got: complete and total erasure. The Galactic Council sent representatives to Earth when the war ended. They came to establish new treaties and normalize relations. President met them in a room decorated with flowers from New Singapore. Flowers that had been the last things growing when the ships arrived. She listened to their proposals and their concerns and their carefully worded threats disguised as advice. Then she showed them the list. 10 million names displayed on screens that covered every wall. Men and women and children who had been alive before the galaxy decided to watch them die. She told the representatives that humanity remembered every name. She told them that humanity would always remember. She told them that any species who touched human civilians would join in extinction. The representatives returned to their governments with a new understanding. Humanity was no longer considered primitive or weak. They were considered something far more dangerous. They were a species without limits when protecting their own. They were a species that did not forget. They were a species that had proven they would burn entire civilizations to ash for justice. Earth built a memorial on the site where New Singapore had stood. 10 million pillars of light reached toward the stars. Each pillar carried a name. Each name carried a story. Families came from across the galaxy to visit their lost loved ones. Children who would never know their parents stood before lights that represented lives cut short. The memorial was beautiful and terrible and necessary. Humanity returned to peace after the war. They continued exploring. They continued building. They continued being the curious and creative species they had always been. But they never forgot the lessons of New Singapore. They never forgot what happened when others mistook kindness for weakness. And the galaxy never forgot what happened when humanity stopped being kind. The universe learned a truth that had been written in human blood for thousands of years. Humanity desired peace. Humanity worked for understanding. Humanity offered friendship to any who sought it honestly. But humanity was not to be tested, because humans did not fight to win. They fought to end threats permanently, and they had learned this lesson in the only language that finally made them understand: silence.